For this lesson, let's take a look at multiplying and dividing integers and multiplying and dividing terms. To start off, let's take a look at an example of what happens when we multiply and divide integers. If I were to take, let's say, -4 times -3, and let's do -4 times +3, and let's do +4 times +3, and we'll do +4 times -3. Basically what I've done here is set up the same digits, and I've changed around the numbers so that we have different integers because I've changed the signs. The basic rule for multiplying and dividing integers is that if the signs are the same, the answer is positive. If the signs are different, the answer is going to be negative. So if I look here, -4 times -3, they're both negative numbers. So 4 times 3 is 12. They're both negative, so I get +12. Over here I have -4 and +3. Well, 4 times 3 is 12. Signs are different, negative and a positive. Answer is negative. Here I have 4 times 3, 12. Signs are both positive. Answer is positive. Here again, 4 times 3 is 12. Sign is positive and a negative, so the signs are different. Answer is negative. So really, when it comes to multiplying and dividing, you really are keying in on the idea, are my signs the same or are my signs different? If they're the same, answer is positive. Signs are different, answer is negative. So let's look at something a little bit different, but applying some of these concepts. Let's say we had 8x squared y, and we're going to multiply that times -4x y squared z. So now we've got coefficients that are positive and negative, we got some variables, we got exponents. Now we're kind of getting into the nitty-gritty. Well, let's start from the beginning. Coefficients, 8 and -4. 8 and -4, well, 8 times 4 is 32. One's positive, one's negative, so -32. So that part's taken care of. Let's take a look at the x's next. X squared and x. So I'm taking x squared times x. Remember, this is x to the first. So x squared times x. Remember, we multiply. We add the exponents. So 2 plus 1 is 3. X cubed. Next, let's look at the y's. Y and y squared. Again, y to the first. We're multiplying, so again we add the exponents 1 and 2. So we have y cubed. And then the last one we have is just simply z by itself. So our final answer, make this all one color, -32 x cubed y to the third z, or -32 x cubed y cubed z. So really the key here is take it one step at a time. Deal with the coefficients, then your x's, then your y's, then your z's. Now we can take these same terms and divide them. And we're going to use the exact same approach. Start with the coefficients. 8 and -4. Well, this is a +8 divided by -4. 8 divided by -4 is -2. Signs are different, so -2. Here I have my x's. X squared, x to the first. Remember, we're dividing, so now we subtract. So we want to find the difference of the absolute values of their exponents. This is 2 and 1. You could also think of it as expanding this. I could rewrite 8x squared y so that it looks a little bit different. I could see it as 8 times x times y, and I could put that over negative 4 times x times y times z. Now, if I think of it as the difference of the absolute values of the exponents, well, 2 and 1, the difference is 1. There's more x's up here, so I'm going to keep that single x up top. Or I could come down here and think of it as I have x's that cancel out, and I'm left with just a single x. Now if I go to the y's, I have a single y up here and y squared here. Again, I can think of it as the absolute values, finding the difference of the absolute values of the exponents, 1 and 2. I'm left with 1 in the denominator. I can also think of it as canceling out a pair of y's right here. And again, I have a y left in the denominator. So now I have a denominator to introduce, and a y is left in it. And then I look here, I have no z's in the numerator, but I have a z left in the denominator. So I have a z here. So if I was to write my final answer now, I'm going to have a negative 2x over y z. The negative applies to the entire term because it's 8 divided by negative 4. I had the negative 2 here just because I had the 8 divided by the negative 4. Wasn't sure how it was going to play out until I got all the way done, but the negative applies to the whole thing. So negative 2x over y z. So that's a little bit on multiplying and dividing integers and multiplying and dividing terms. Again, when it comes to multiplying and dividing integers, you're just going to look at the signs. If they are the same, whether it's positive or negative, but if the signs are the same, you have a positive answer. If the signs are different, you have a negative answer. And when you're dealing with the terms and simplifying them, just take it one term at a time. You have your coefficients, x's, y's, z's, any other variables you have, but you deal with each one individually to come up with that final answer. Good luck.